Hey everybody, Scott W. Perry, Slick D Gaming here, and welcome to the second episode of Play Favorites, where I list some of my favorite games on a specific topic. And for this one, I want to go to a franchise that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the Star Wars saga. I have a special connection with Star Wars, like a lot of people. I think it begins with the fact that Star Wars came out the year I was born, 1977, and it has remained a big part of my inner fandom since. It's been a big part of my life. I vividly remember seeing Return of the Jedi at 6 years old for the first time and hearing a crowd just losing it when Vader became a good guy again. There was that lull between 1983 and 1999. Between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace that, there was a huge void that needed to be filled. And one of the ways that it was filled for a lot of us Star Wars fans was with video games. So for this, I'm going to list some of my favorite games that came out within that time frame. So these are games that came out from 1983 to 1999. And we're going to begin with a game that came out in 1991. It came out for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and that's actually Star Wars for the NES. This one was actually a very faithful adaptation, and one of the reasons why it was made by JVC and had a very, very close relationship with Lucasfilm in making it. I loved this game when it came out. It really encapsulated the Episode 4 A New Hope perfectly. It flowed well. It was a little bit linear. You could do some things out of sequence. You could actually beat the game without ever finding Han Solo, but you played as either Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, or Princess Leia. You did have Obi-Wan Kenobi in the game. You had R2-D2, you had C-3PO. All the events from the movie were in the game. Of course, I said Tatooine, going on the Sandcrawler with R2-D2, the Death Star escape, and of course, the Death Star battle at the end of the film. Now, Star Wars is a game I still love playing to this day. It's funny, I still have problems beating it, even though I've beaten it several times when I go to play it again. But it really is a fun game. One of the better movie-based games for Nintendo. They made a ton of movie-based games for that system, and this was definitely one of the better ones. So Star Wars for the NES, highly recommended. Now, the second game on the list is one that I don't have a physical copy for. I did, but it is a game that you can get on Steam, and this is at the very tail end of it. It was released in 1998. And this is a game that a lot of people didn't like as much, but I did for one simple reason. And this game was Star Wars Rebellion. And the reason why I liked Rebellion over some of the other games that came out, one example is that I didn't have a computer at the time the X-Wing and TIE Fighter series came out, so I don't know them as well, and I could see why some people would list them as their favorite. I'll reemphasize, they're definitely some of the best Star Wars games ever made, but we're not talking about best here, we're talking about favorites. And favorites and bests are two different categories. All right, so I just wanted to throw that out there and just let it be known. But what I like about Rebellion, it is a strategy game, and it begins right after the events of A New Hope. And it was the first time I ever felt I was in control of the entire franchise in a certain way. You can do whatever you want with it. You can pick either the Empire or the Rebellion. Most people pick the Rebellion. And it starts off, Luke Skywalker has just destroyed the Death Star, and you're in Yavin, and now it's like, okay, here's the story, now take it from here. And you had a massive universe to explore. And at the time, in 1998, the expanded universe was really starting to go. This was, at the time, considered official. So you had your basic characters, you had your strong characters, Luke, Han, Lando, Chewbacca, Princess Leia, and then as the Empire, you had Palpatine and, of course, Darth Vader. But you also had characters from the expanded universe like Thrawn, like Paige, and a few others that really made the game really good. You even had Admiral Piet, who was a character I really liked in the movies. Kind of felt he gave a little bit of a sympathy to the Empire in a way, very loyal to Vader. And you go to different planets. You can use diplomacy to have them favor your side of the Empire, or the Rebellion. Sorry, or you could build a Death Star and just blow it up. And You know, where the game suffers is in the gameplay when you have a battle. A lot of times I just simulated the battle. If I had enough people, that would be good. And what I liked is that you always, when you built the fleet, you could name it whatever you wanted. And I always named my fleet the Kenobi fleet in honor of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that was good. And, you know, at certain parts of the game, it's like Luke goes to Dagobah to learn to become a Jedi, and he comes back as a Jedi Knight. And I remember one time I played the game, and he found out that Lando Calrissian had the Force within him, and he trained Lando to be a friggin' Jedi. I mean, that's a story I would love to freaking see. You know, so that's one of the reasons why I liked Rebellion. All right. So if you can, it is on Steam. I think it's very, very cheap on Steam. I think you can get it for like $5 or $10. I would recommend getting it. It is a fun game to have, and one that I still play this game. There is a very loyal fan base for that game, so I know I'm not alone. All right, so Star Wars Rebellion for the PC. Check it out on Steam. The next game is, we're going to go from the PC for Rebellion over to a rarity, a game released on the Sega CD, and it's one that I like. It has not dated well, and the controls are bad, but it's one of the reasons why I actually still like playing it. You got to remember, for the time, this was all we had. So we played a ton of it, and this was the first game that really, I felt, on a console, really got into the world of Star Wars, and that is Rebel Assault for the Sega CD. Rebel Assault had voice acting. It had scenes, digitized scenes from the movie. The first time you saw it, I was amazed. I was just like, this is phenomenal. It has a parallel story. You play as a character named Rookie One. You're really Luke Skywalker in a way. You know, farm boy from Tatooine, becomes a rebel, rebel pilot, learns, the ways of the rebellion, and then fights Hoth, has a really good Hoth battle in here, and then attacks Star Destroyer and then to the Death Star. So it pretty much has everything, a Star Wars fan would want. But this is the first game that I remember that had John Williams' score completely intact in it, and that's one of the reasons why I find it memorable. It hasn't dated well, but I still consider it, from that time period, one of my favorites because I played a lot of it as a kid. I would definitely check it out. There is a Steam version, which the graphics are a little bit better than this, but I still have my Sega CD, so I still play it on there from time to time. I'm going to try to get a playthrough of this game onto the channel as well, because I do enjoy it. All right, so that is Star Wars Rebel Assault for the Sega CD. Now, the next game I want to say is probably, it is without a doubt one of my favorite games, and you have actually been looking at it this entire video, and I was very thrilled last year to get it into my home for the first time, playing it the way I am, and it is this. The original Star Wars arcade game, and this is the arcade 1-up version that I got last year for Christmas. This version, it retails for $500. There's a sit-down version that is there as well. Now, it's like, all right, why are you getting $500 for 3 games? Well, the joy of just standing up here and playing this game like I did as a kid in the arcade has just been thrilling for me. It is a very simple vector scope game in which you just recreate the final Death Star battle. The original arcade game was released in 1983, and it is still considered by many Star Wars fans to be the best, one of the best games ever released for the system, and for any system at all. And there's a good reason for that. It is fun, it is enjoyable, and it is just, I just love playing it. They have sound effects from the movie. You hear Mark Hamill going, Yahoo! You hear, Arthur, see if you can get it. You hear Alec Guinness clear as day. Use the Force, Luke. And it just gives you chills every time. When you're in the arcade and played it, when I was 6 years old the first time I played it, I still get the same vibe in my 40s, as a middle-aged, dealing with my midlife crisis. Here I am in my midlife crisis game room. So there we go. But Star Wars, the arcade game, is a fantastic game and one of the best to it. And if you ever get this arcade 1-up machine, there was a Empire Strikes Back version vector game that apparently was released in '85 that I didn't know a lot about, and that is it's actually just as fun. I just prefer the original Star Wars, and the Return of the Jedi arcade game is there as well, which is also fun. One of the things I like about the Return of the Jedi arcade game is it has that happy theme at the end of the original cut of Jedi, that dun, 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 dun. Okay, anyway, you don't hear that anymore, and I like the fact I hear it in there. So whatever. But those are some of my favorites. But there is a particular game that I like above all that came out. To me, it is my absolute favorite of the games released in this time, and that is Star Wars Masters of. I'm just kidding with you. There's no fucking way that is the best game ever. No, actually, it is a three-way tie. All right, because there was no game or games that I ever played as much as these, and I thought, they really, really captured Star Wars beautifully. And I'm just to let you know, they are the Super Star Wars trilogy of Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi. These three games to me, these three games to me are the three best games for the Super Nintendo. They are my three favorite on that console overall. I remember the first time I played Super Star Wars and put it in. It came out in 1992. I got it for Christmas, 1992, as a 15-year-old kid, and it did something at the time that I was not expecting. I always loved the genre. I always loved the franchise. And as much as I loved playing the Nintendo version, the Super Nintendo version blew it out of the water. It was amazing. It did a few things a little bit differently, but enough that it captured the series, it captured the heart of the trilogy perfectly. In Super Star Wars, you played as either Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, or Chewbacca. And all the boards were there. All the memories from A New Hope were there, and they did it a little differently. I liked it. The Death Star battle at the end was phenomenal. And then when I thought it couldn't get any better than that, they released Super Empire Strikes Back the year after, which is probably my favorite of the three. If I had to choose between one of the three, that would be the one. Incredible game, incredible experience. This one you play again as the three, Han, Luke, and Chewbacca, but it captures Empire very, very well, and it is a very difficult game. But it's one of those games where it's difficult but not frustrating. It's you're just like, I gotta get to that next step. I gotta get to that next step, and you did. The battle with Luke and Vader at the end is friggin' hard as hell, and I like it. I've only beaten the game a few times. I've beaten all three of them, but that one is the hardest one to get. And then we get to Super Return to Jedi, which is my least favorite of the three. Which is Return to Jedi is everybody's least favorite of the original trilogy, but that doesn't say it's bad. It's just what it is. They added you could play as Princess Leia and even Wicket. The Ewok in it, which, a lot of people didn't like at the time. I kind of did. I thought it was a little different to do. But again, I have to count them all as one because they capture the love and the scope of the original trilogy perfectly. So there you have it. Those are some of my choices. Those are some of my favorite retro Star Wars games that were released in the lull between Return to Jedi and Phantom Menace. So I'm going to call it my favorite retro Star Wars games. Just to let you know, if we were to go to an overall list, some games that would be in there. Shadows of the Empire almost did. I haven't played it enough to really give it a solid review of it, but it's one game that I do have and I'm going to play again. So it probably, if I did this in a few months' time, would probably be on it. Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader for GameCube was one game that I loved playing a lot. And of course, another game that I'm getting into now, and please forgive me, but I have played it, I got into it, and then when I stopped playing it, I never got back to it. But that is Knights of the Old Republic. So please don't roast me, don't patronize me. I will play that as soon as, much more than I will. When I did play it, I did love it, but that came out in 2003. So, but those are some of my favorite retro Star Wars games. So you have fun. I'm going to go play this again. All right. I'm going to go play this little thing right here. And while I do that, let's have a good one. This is Slick D, Scott W. Perry, signing off. Take care and have yourself a great one.